within the last century, in this country, we have had thousands of people die trying to organize a measure of justice in our society. And those deaths did not just occur in struggles to form those labor unions. It was also to promote an agenda that included Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, a U.S. Postal Service that actually delivers our mail 6 days a week. You know, we have built a civil society. Now you say to me, you know, boy, that's pretty optimistic, Mr. Nichols, because it's not all that civil. We're the only developed country in the world that doesn't provide people with health care as an absolute right. But we're even trying to begin to do that. And so when you look at where we're at, you think to yourself, we have an immense amount to do. We are not a just society. We are not an equal society. We are not a fair society. But we have gotten up, we've climbed up to a certain point. Where we are at right now is that there are some folks who want to push us back off that cliff that we've climbed up to and shove us back down. All of that progress we now have a culture in this country where you are supposed to figure out how you can screw the system over sufficiently to become stunningly rich in one quick hit. And we call these people makers. Right? Not takers, but makers. They are not makers. These people are the wrecking crew. And they have come to wreck America. And anyone who says to you that we have to cut the post office for one day, anybody who says to you that somebody's got to give up their cost of living payments and their cost of living increases on Social Security, anybody who says that we've got to turn Medicare into a voucher program, anybody who says that Medicaid has to be dialed back and dialed down, anybody who says that we have to go after the basic infrastructure of a civil society to balance the books, to address a deficit, to address debt in this country, is a crook. That person is trying to rob you of what you created. Do not doubt it. Do not doubt it. We did in the Nation magazine, just last week, the double issue, an expose of the Fix the Debt project. And you think to yourself, well, who could object to fixing the debt? I love fixing the debt. I like to get my paycheck, and I like to write checks to the people who I owe money to. It feels good if there's actually enough money to balance it out. But you know, that's what we do. It's not bad. It's not an unpleasant thing. Fix the debt. It sounds great. No. The Fix the Debt Coalition in this country, organized by billionaire Pete Peterson, who was Richard Nixon's Secretary of Commerce, I believe, which should sum it up pretty well. But organized by a billionaire. Check this out. It is co-chaired by Simpson and Bowles, the two most unsuccessful political players in the history of the Republic. Right? The President of the United States appoints them to run a commission to figure out how to balance our books. Gives them all the authority in the world to come up with a plan. They couldn't even come up with a plan that their own commission would support. And then when they took their plan to Congress, after their own commission had rejected it, only 38 members of Congress supported their plan. Then they said, okay, we're going to the people, because their big line is what the people really want to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, balance the books on it. So they then go out, they endorse candidates. Every candidate that they endorsed lost. In fact, when they endorsed a candidate, the other candidate would say they're endorsed by Simpson and Bowles. The people are like, okay, got it. And so now they're back with a $60 million lobbying campaign right now to take advantage of the sequester, take advantage of everybody's concern about all this. And what are they advocating for? Because Citizens and Bulls have a new plan. And their new plan is being supported by the Fix the Debt Coalition, which is 127 CEOs, billionaires, and some of the lower level millionaires. And they're like your Romneys. And it was only a $250 million. And they got this plan. And you know what their plan is? It just sums it all up because, right, we're a little bit broke. We're not actually broke at all. We're very rich. We're one of the richest countries in the history of the world. We have incredible assets. The Federal Reserve literally has trillions of dollars, which is our tax money, which we moved over there and put into the accounts of banks when they crashed the economy. None of them prosecuted yet. But, so we're going to balance the books. Okay. And their proposal to do it is this. Chain CPI. Now, right off the bat, chain CPI sounds like a medical procedure. Where it's going to be done with laser surgery, but somehow you're not going to be as whole a man when you're done. And so chain CPI, which is, of course, they could actually call it, only in Washington, D.C. would you come up with a title like that. What you should call it is that we're going to take away your cost of living increases if you're on Social Security. Which is fine, right? Because all old people are rich. And, it's just, you're still going to get your Social Security. It's just that when gas prices, as they just have, go up like double, and when food prices go up, you're still going to get what you were getting, right? So you're going to get a lot less. So effectively, despite the fact that every politician in the history of the planet is against cutting Social Security, they will, through change CPI, cut Social Security. People on Social Security will experience the first major decrease in the program since the 1930s, since it was created. Damn. And so that's right there in the plan, right? And then they say, then the other part that's really good, they say, and we have to have some flexibility on the eligibility age for Medicare. And you're like, wow, I wonder what flexibility means. Does that mean like people who are 58 could get Medicare? Yeah. People who are 55? Could we create a Medicare for All program where everyone in the country is covered, single payer, everybody will know? Or are we doing Washington speak on this? Right? And does flexibility mean raising the eligibility age for Medicare to 66, 67, 68, 69? People are working longer now. And so how far do you take that age up, right? And you think to yourself, well, those old people, they've been living large. They could maybe stand with a little less health care for a while and a little less cost of living increase and stuff like that because, it's only in a place, only among a group of billionaires, right? Billionaires. Could you come up with a plan that says, well, yeah, we can raise the eligibility age for some of these things, right? That's how we'll balance the books. We wouldn't want to ask billionaires to pay in based on their income the way that everybody else does, which would provide us with more than enough money to pay for Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. No, no, no. The other part of their proposal is after they want to take away the cost of living increase, after they talk about raising the eligibility age, right? And then screwing everybody else up. The young woman in the back, how old are you? 21. 21. Trust me, they want to take everything away from you. So they're going to give you a voucher when you get to, if and when you get to retirement, you get a voucher. And so they want to turn Medicare into a voucher program, right? And it's called, but they don't call it vouchers because, of course, Washington, they're going to call it, right, premium. The premium sounds like good meat, right? And so you're going to get a premium, a special premium thing here. So and how it's going to work? Like when you get to be 80 years old, what we're going to do is give you, because you're not they're going to keep some of the Medicare because it actually works well. And you know, the funny thing is, they only want to change Medicare for people who don't vote a lot, right? You know, it's like if people really vote a lot, they're not going to, you know, we're not going to mess with it too much, right? They move it down the line. But what they want to do, it's called Ryan Plan, right? You get a voucher to buy your insurance when you're old. So the government's doing you a favor. We're going to give you $8,000 to buy an insurance policy for the year. And you're like, wow, $8,000? That is so cool. Where do I buy my insurance from? Well, there's nothing I can think of that would be more fun in old age than going through thousands of insurance offers. What could be, you know, and try and sort out, you know, because Medicare Part D is fun. And so you can imagine the joy of sorting through like thousands of offers on it. And you know what the funny thing about it is? I'm going to bet not a one of those offers costs $8,000. So what they're going to do is you're going to put your $8,000 down to buy an insurance policy that's going to cost you $10,000. Now this is not bad for one group of people. Insurance company CEOs, because they get the federal money guaranteed, right? And then they jack the price up, and so they start going in to what you've got left of your Social Security after we take away your changed CPI, cost of living, and the end result is that young woman in the back is going to, this is why I talk about why this is such an important time. That wonderful young woman in the back is going to work her whole lifetime. When she gets to retirement, if these crooks get away with their scam, she is going to be in the same situation that her great-grandparents were in, where they didn't have health care in their senior years, and we will have reversed centuries of progress in this country. That's what we have to fight against. We should not be going back. We should be going forward. The Fix the Debt Coalition, I'm not making this up, you cannot make this stuff up. The Fix the Debt Coalition, in addition, because one of the things we know is that austerity does not work. Cuts do not work. They stall out economies. Our Republican friends, well, there you go. Our Republican friends, they come and they say, well, we got to do this or we'll turn into Greece. Greece is a country of 4 million people. You know, I mean, we're not exactly comparable. We came out of World War II better, and but so here's the deal though. They want to make sure that we don't become Greece. How do you think Greece became Greece?
The Truman Doctrine?
No. You're too smart. Come on, forget that. No, Greece became Greece because of austerity. Oh, yeah. They did all the cuts, and their economy stalled out so badly that now people who were middle class are begging in the streets. And then they did it to Spain. They did austerity to Spain. Spain now has 25% unemployment, youth unemployment of 60%. Austerity stalls out economies. It kills growth. It creates greater unemployment. And so they're trying to bring austerity to America. And you think to yourself, well, that's just crazy. Who would want to do that? What would be the possible benefit? Even if you are, of course, if you're an insurance company, you're going to get your piece of all that. But really, seriously, what's going on here? Oh, because the other part, the way they're going to keep the economy going in America, because it's makers and takers, the makers need to get a break, right? In the new Simpson-Bowles proposal, in addition to taking away cost of living for seniors, messing with the eligibility age on Medicare, messing with Medicaid for our disabled folks, for people who have special needs, and also just for our poorest of the poor. In addition to that, the way they're going to keep the economy growing after you've gutted all this out is by giving, and this is, you're smart people, but you're not going to, this one's going to shock you. A group run by billionaires and lesser millionaires is proposing that to keep the economy booming and growing, they're going to lower the top marginal income tax rate for billionaires and for corporations. Not kidding. They literally want to do a 2% decrease, which, by the way, is about as good as the Bush tax cuts. And so here you have here you have the circumstance come full circle. They are proposing to take from our vulnerable seniors, from our disabled, and let's be honest, they're probably going to grab the lunch money from poor kids, and they're going to take all that so that they can give rich guys a tax cut. And the amazing thing to me is that we aren't already in the streets, because this is such absolute madness. It is an absolutely dysfunctional, horribly anti-economic. And economics is a field of study, right? I know there are crazy economists, but no one in their right mind would suggest doing this except for absolute, unmitigated, out of control greed. And the bottom line is this. In the 1930s, when we had a genuine economic downturn, right? In the 1930s, we had a genuine economic downturn. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was inaugurated as President of the United States, 1933, 80 years ago this week, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, in his inaugural address, said that the temples had been invaded by the money changers. Said that the forces of greed had taken control not merely of our economic life, but of our political life. And said that with the election of 1932, the Democratic landslide election that brought Roosevelt to the presidency, brought Democrats to control of the Senate and the House, that with that election, the people had cast the money changers out of the temple, and that he, Franklin Roosevelt, had a moral responsibility to restructure the American economy so that never again could the money changers steal from the people as they had. It was out of that recognition, that we created Social Security, out of that recognition that we established the labor laws in this country that allowed unions to organize, out of that recognition that we restored our farmers to the land and that we created parity so that they got a good wage for what they did. We started doing all of our modern economic reforms at a moment we cast the money changers out of the temple. And the interesting thing about it is the money changers are back in the temple. We could go on and on forever. But the bottom line is, all of that, the Voting Rights Act, which came out of that, is now threatened in the U.S. Supreme Court. And that, this is what I'm talking about. This is the moment we are in. And if there has ever been a go out and make them do it moment, this is it.
Now.
This is now. And if we don't do it now, they will chip away at every bit of progress. They will pay for their mansions and their jets and their vacations in Switzerland with what they bartered away from our creation, from the country that we made. And that is simply wrong, brothers and sisters. I don't care what group you join. I don't care what march you get into. I don't care what trouble you try to start. But I will tell you this. In 2 weeks, there's a National Day of Action to save the post office. And I don't want anybody to miss that. Because we're going to be out there to save the post office. And I'm going to tell you, in this next 2 weeks, if they come up with some kind of grand bargain that takes away pieces of our Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, let's not just have a day of action to save the post office. Let's have a day of action to save America from the robber barons and take it back for the people. Brothers and sisters, this is the time. This is now. Let's make a real movement to fight for economic and social justice. Everything that good Americans have ever fought for, let us fight for it now, because we can win this fight if we stand united.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the Union makes us strong. When the Union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? But the Union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the Union makes us strong. It is we who plowed the prairies, built the cities where they trade, dug the mines and built the workshops, endless miles of railroad laid. Now we stand outcast and starving mid the wonders we have made, but the Union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever.